Well, I went to the Pasifika festival this afternoon with my mum, Emma, and then I caught up with my friend Lucinda as well. It's pretty fun, and this is like a little highlights reel of that. So yeah, if this comes up on the sound, this is where I bought my medical music.
Beautiful. You know what? I think. Oh, did you want to scroll?
Yeah, I'd go for it.
Our community. Didn't they beat Samoa in a recent league game? Or... Oh.
No worries.
Where is you know where the
Rural part of this poor country, a sprawling giant has popped up. Chinese businessmen built the King's Romans casino for Chinese tourists in a country where gambling is illegal. But the Lao government granted the owners an exception and signed a lease for 55 years to create a so-called special economic zone. Standing outside this casino building, it's easy to forget we're in a very remote part of northern Laos. The developers have made no attempt to blend in with the local surroundings. This small slice of China sits on the banks of the Mekong River, where the porous borders of Laos, Thailand and Myanmar meet. This is the heart of the Golden Triangle, a name synonymous with the drug trade. Now there are allegations that the casino is part of a resurgence in the narcotics business in the area. We were brought here by the Lao government to meet the casino's owner, although we weren't allowed to stay in one of his hotels. He says his development is a drug-free zone and that building the casino was a chance to help the Lao people.
I saw that the local people are so poor, and I saw an opportunity because of the location. It's very beneficial because it borders 3 different countries. I saw infinite opportunity.
But soon after our visit, police found 20 sacks of methamphetamine pills on the grounds of the sprawling compound, with a value of $1.6 million. Then 13 Chinese sailors were murdered about a kilometre away. Most of the bodies were dumped in the river, bound at the wrists. At the time, the Thai army found almost 1 million pills on the 2 boats, which according to some reports were heading to the casino. Then in a bizarre twist, 9 Thai soldiers were arrested for the killings. One theory is they may have been part of an escalating turf war between drug lords.
I think that you could fairly say that the Golden Triangle is back. Back in 2 ways. First of all, in many respects, methamphetamines have taken over the region in terms of production, in terms of trafficking and of consumption.
In response to the killings, the Chinese government says it'll send patrol boats down the Mekong to help provide security. While the world's drug enforcement community has been focusing elsewhere, the Golden Triangle is enjoying an unwelcome resurgence. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Bokio, Laos.
Well, it's 5:15 in the morning. This is about when I usually get home from RNZ. It's pissing down in Wellington as well. My shoes got completely sodden on the way back. But yeah, I mean, I just had to prepare the broad overview for 5 AM, and yeah, not good. Something like 2,500 people displaced, and Auckland's pretty much, all the roads are closed, public transport's closed, everything's, and Gisborne's even worse, so pretty damn depressing. So, good news for me though. I found my CBD drop thing. I can't smoke in my room. Well, I can, but I'm not supposed to. So I've never set off the smoke alarm, but the rules say no, and this is also cannabis. So but it's not all about weed. I have real pills too. So this is for prescribed anxiety. That's why I smoke pot, and CBD pot is doing that without the head high. But I did manage to find some weed which I left over. So I actually did get pretty. So that's when I did Isn't It Romantic? I was actually properly stoned. But anyway. You see, I have a well-being plan, and that involves taking these as well, which is quetiapine, bog standard sleeping pill, also an antipsychotic. So if I'm manic, it's pretty effective. I take a fair amount, but yeah, it basically works. So here I am taking my sleeping pills at the same time. So you can see it's not just about cannabis with me; it's about health. And smoking pot has generally been good for my physical health. Well, this is good for writing. Cheers. This is Melancholia by Anthony Ritchie. It's taken me a few takes. Nails are slightly too long, and this is the jump as hard as I want to see how it sounds. So this one costs about $250. The other one's worth a lot more. past the police station of that building, past Datacom. Things are the same, or so they say to me. Drab-coloured shirts with lines to spray at me, clinging to bitch halves like roaches, stealing all the praise like poachers, lobbying for past approaches from the USA. Shill after shill has had their way with me, bill after bill they kneel and pray to me, suits to genuflect like crazy, till the talking points grow hazy, wait until the day I'm lazy from coalition blues. Also, Joe could go to private schools with the kids whose parents make the rules, struggling and saving to build a world where she could shine. I tried to teach her how to organize and showed her ways we could decarbonize, but when she gets stuck, it's always mother, I need your help. I won't even play their dirty politics. I'll burst to the fray and slay those smarmy pricks. Though the road ahead seems gloomy, they will start to listen to me. Even as the farmers woo me, I'll keep emissions down. I can't let them win until I'm out of breath. I'll fight through the spin and sashay through the death. Even though the seas are boiling and our export goods are spoiling, I will always keep on toiling for the greater good.
This time, regular and ongoing community drug checking clinics are now available in Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin. It's part of a nearly $4 million government investment labelled a milestone for New Zealand. Here's Abby Wakefield with more.
This man's in his 20s. He's used a variety of drugs in his lifetime.
Weed, LSD, ketamine, MDMA, and then supposedly coke, but didn't really know.
He says it's quite common for dealers to bulk out drugs with other substances in order to make more money, which is why he gets his checked. Last year, over 1,700 drugs were tested to find out what was in them. A third of those were completely or partially different to what people thought they were. Now in Wellington, Dunedin and Christchurch, people will be able to get drugs checked regularly at needle exchange centres.
It's a milestone for New Zealand because we're making drug checking more easily accessible to a wider range of people.
The service is free, legal and completely confidential, with results available in just a couple of minutes.
It allows people to make more informed decisions about their drug use, and as well as testing substances for people, we have talks with clients about ways to use their drugs safer.
Previously, drug checks were available at festivals or events, or on a limited basis at community clinics, including in Auckland, where the service is offered fortnightly or monthly at a range of locations. But there are calls for more regular scheduled clinics.
Drug checking services save lives. It is proven time and again that the availability of these services means that people are less likely to take substances that are not what they thought they were, but also likely to change people's behaviour into the future, to not be engaging in risky drug-taking behaviour.
As for those who use it,
so I was a little bit more relaxed knowing that what I was taking, what I spent my money on, isn't going to potentially kill me.
Quick tests that could save lives, now more available. Abby Wakefield, One News.
Psychotherapy already exists in organisations like Newsline.
It took 15 seconds of film.
There was lots of hand-wringing going, well, it takes 3 or 4 years to train a substances we picked up from our different engagement with foreign wars. And people who think that New Zealand soldiers got into heroin. I wasn't going to do anything stupid or try and get past because who needs to cause an accident just to get ahead.
Yeah. It's picking up the rain on the camera now that they've got the truck in front of it with the lights.
It's throwing up all the rain.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's coming out really good now. Great.
I can't see. We'll just have to wait. Looks like one might stop. One's stopping. Is the other one up? No, damn. I think 2 of them stopped. Or maybe just one. Nah, just one. There's still 2 in front of us. Roadie, one of the original punk crew in Auckland from his Wines days.
He died over there.
Yep. Yeah. He was doing an all-night run to get band equipment. Might have gone past it. like a camper. The deck is all camper. Going home.
Something like that.
Oh, fuck, there's an act party sign.
Oh yeah.
Stop 3 waters wankers.
Yeah.
But I only just had enough charge to get up the driveway when I got home. On one bar holder. The hidden started flashing. Have you seen that? When you get down to the bottom, it starts flashing at you. It's going to switch on. Didn't get that far.
Right, yeah. Which one? That's like.
Yeah.
Nicely taken. Taken on the 22. McKenzie. Here's Ross.
Like the Chiefs died.
Charge starting to go up for the Chiefs. Full championship. And the Scott Wellington dynasty ends.
can see this guy's a local and he was getting pissed off being behind us. What are you doing? What are you doing? Fucking tourists. We'll go around down the bottom here because there's a whole bunch of food places down towards the waterfront. From memory, I could be wrong. Fucking hell. Top on a Sunday night, it's pretty. Summertime, it'll be fucking party zone almost. Do you want to stop taking a photo?
No, I got it.
Right now, is there somewhere to park over here?
We need a good lawyer to take care of our music business universally. Bless him. Rastafari. Bless him, Lord. Bless him, Lord. Rastafari.
Go to Europe.
Yeah, to go to Europe, go to Glastonbury, Goodwood Festival of Speed, Boom Festival, and Ozora Festival. Still have money left over to go to Rome.
Oh, cool.
But starting and ending in Amsterdam. Dak has never been to Amsterdam.
Okay.
So we're on the expressway. passing lane.
Oh.
Once upon a time.
Oh yeah, more roadworks.
What's the other end? The other end with the traffic light that's holding up the traffic that we've just... This is the only lane to go through. Yeah, they are painting the white lines, aren't they? Yes, they are. Told you.
Yeah.
It's all to paint white lines.
Yeah. There's a lot of, even at this time of night, there's a lot of cars.
This is State Highway 1. Having a long, narrow country means there pretty much is only one main road.
It's great on the camera with all the lights of the other cars. It's good that it's on Money TV.
If you watch it live, it does, but it's only...
Oh, yeah, when you play it back, it doesn't have ads, does it?
No.
Yeah, not like the TV and Super one.
Tao and Moana online on demand, no ads in it.
Yeah, and on Facebook too, you can watch the whole show as well, which is it's really convenient. So it's Transmission Gully.
Yes, my own bed sounds like a fucking good thing tonight.
Yeah.
One night sleeping in the car and then a couple of hours on the stretch is not the right sleep.
No. I got sleep on the couch on the Friday actually. That was like a solid sleep. But yeah, last night
it wasn't quite long enough for you. It wasn't. You couldn't stretch out properly.
It was alright though. I slept about 6 hours in that one. But yeah, the stretcher I only slept like 4 hours on that. So yeah, it'd be nice to get some sleep.
Just being home, you know.
Yeah. But you just got to drive for another hour after this.
Doesn't matter. I'm still going to be home. I'm still sleeping in my bed tonight.
Right. This minute, and each second in it will leave a glow upon the sky, and as time goes by, it will never die. This will be my shining hour, calm and happy and bright. In my dreams your face will flower through the darkness of the night. Like the lights of home before me, or an angel watching o'er me. This will be my shining hour till I'm with you
Go hard.
Okay, great. Okay, Doctor, I guess you had a quick look at the legislation, and this is going to be what people are voting on in the referendum. What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are how exciting this is. After all these years, finally we have a government that's willing to put something forward to change the status quo. But I'm also frustrated. I'm frustrated that there's an indication it'll be years yet before we have any change to our laws. And in the meantime, how many people are going to be arrested and are facing imprisonment? I, for one, am 130 days on lockdown. I'm on a house arrest for being involved with cannabis, a flower. So, look, I can see Helen Kelly at work here in the way this legislation has been created. Andrew Little was very sensitive to her views on cannabis. But we're still treating cannabis as a dangerous product. And it's not. It's treated as equal to alcohol and the dangers of alcohol, and that's silly. It's not like that at all, and we should be taking a more relaxed attitude. In fact, I would encourage the government right now to change the classification of cannabis to Class D, put some regulations around it and allow not-for-profits to spring up all over the country so that we can take care of the people's needs right now. We wouldn't need a referendum, and let's consider what that's going to be in the future. In the meantime, there are a lot of sick people that need some help. So, yeah, it's very good. It's very exciting. Our people love it. But why so long? Why?
What do you think of the limits on the potency? I guess for viewers who will be voting in the referendum but don't know much about cannabis, what does it mean? How strong would 15% THC be? What would the effects be?
Look, if it's slightly higher THC than 15%, it'll make no discernible difference at all. There are some products that have extremely high THC. They're readily available in legal jurisdictions overseas. They're not causing problems in the community. So I think that they might actually have it wrong to be focused on the strength and the THC levels. I think that there is a much wider tolerance to THC in the community than what our politicians might think.
I did speak to one user who described that THC limit as quite conservative. Would you agree? Yes, of course it's conservative. But, you know, we're going a step forward, and we've yet to have a debate in Parliament, in the Select Committee, to see whether or not the way it's being explained to us at the moment by people that don't really know much about cannabis. I'm sick and tired of the weed-splaining. So if they talk to us, the people that are actually in the cannabis culture, you know, whatever rules they put in place, if it doesn't suit us, it's not like we're being law-abiding citizens for all these years and years of prohibition. So, you know, I would have thought they'd want rules and regulations that actually are going to be complied with. So you mentioned before you've had, is it 130 days that you've been under house arrest? I guess everyone's had a bit of a taste of what that's like.
Yep.
How has it for you?
A bit over 130 days now. 20th of December I was locked in my house, and I'm still here. So I've been out twice to attend court. Both times there was no court case, and I ended up back in isolation again. So, look, Zoom, all these different electronic devices are wonderful. Just recently I did a trip around the world on April the 20th. I started a 420 rolling consumption for 24 hours. We went around the world on April the 20th and ended up back in New Zealand. So with help of some Americans, we had a marvellous time for 24 hours. So, you know, we get on and do what we have to do anyway. So in the meantime, you know, politicians will do what they have to do, go and politic.
Yeah. How much longer until you're free, Dexter?
I hope that I will be released from these very strict rules fairly shortly. Otherwise, I'm here until the trial, and at the moment, they can't give me a date for a trial. It's at least 2 years away. So, you know, maybe it'll be legal before I get to trial, and my trial will be a waste of time. I don't know. It's a nonsense. Look, that's the problem that I have with the way things are being announced and going forward right now. Where is the interim measure? Are we just going to all of a sudden become legal in a couple of years' time, and cannabis is available and everybody will try it for the first time? Are we going to play that silly game? What about the 500,000 people that already are part of the cannabis culture? Do we have to remain illegal for the next couple of years? Like, how about an interim measure? We're sick and tired of this nonsense. We're sick and tired of police creating this fear in our community. And right now, the way the lockdown is occurring, people are not able to get medicine as they have been accustomed to in the past. The black market is not working as it has been in the past. So it's time to actually have a look at that urgently, right now.
I've heard that there are some seriously inflated cannabis prices at the moment.
Yes, that's true. I've heard those same figures. But, you know, people will do what they have to do. Opportunity. Look, if there was no alcohol in the supermarkets and somebody was walking around the neighbourhood offering bottles of scotch, how much do you think people would get for that? Huge sums of money. So, you know, put it into perspective. There are a lot of people that are not drinking during this lockdown and these terrible times, but they're really, really missing being able to toke on a joint. So it's time that we should actually relax that, even if it was just an interim measure. But we've got to stop locking people up. That's silly.
So why, I know I'm a little bit off topic now, but I guess why is it more difficult to get a joint at the moment? Is it the physical movement?
Well, all the crops came in, you know, at the end of summer. Everybody's harvested their outdoor crops. But how do you get it to market? We've all seen, you know, some young dude got caught recently with 100+ ounces in his car. A little bit silly. The cop could smell it. So, you know, take extra care, I say. But all over the country, it's difficult to be out on the road carrying quantities of cannabis to somewhere where there's a marketplace. And those that have it are oftentimes charging whatever they can get for it. And people will pay. It is that type of product. Personally, I think the government should be providing us with the capital to go out into the marketplace and buy up all the cannabis that's available now, so that we could get cash back into those growing communities, because that's really needed in those communities right now, and allow us to distribute cannabis to those that really need it. Cost recovery only. Like, let's get it out there.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the referendum is going to pass?
That's the most difficult question of all. I've had my doubts for a long time. I've been opposed to the holding of a referendum from all the time that more than 20 years that I've been involved in this campaign, because I don't see what business it is of people whether or not I'm smoking a joint. The real position is this: if there is only one person in this country that consumes cannabis and they are facing imprisonment because of that, then you better have a very good justifiable reason why that law is in place. If there is no justification for a law to protect who, what's it for, if you can't justify the law, then why do I have to justify why it should be changed? Just change it.
Yeah.
So it's time to change it. It's time to change it. I would just giving you a brief pause there so that you had an editing moment.
It's good. You've been really good, Dexter. Is there anything else you want to go over?
No, look, there's going to be much happening over the coming months. We plan to reopen. I think we're long overdue. We haven't had a focal point for people in the Wellington district, and even from around the country. We now have international fans of what we've been doing because of our 420 march around the electronic march around the world. So we're planning to reopen. It is clear that there is no reason for police to be involved in minor cannabis. There has been recent law changes to that effect. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the police are going to be fussed with a cannabis club, or whether or not they'll just focus on this pandemic that we're currently involved in. So we can't open at the moment. We're waiting for level 2. And when the bars open, we should be able to open also. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do that without facing arrest? Just like all the bar proprietors are going to do? That would be nice.
Yeah. I may be working on a story in the next couple of weeks about gaps in the medicinal cannabis legislation that have meant a bunch of medicinal cannabis users are wanting this referendum to pass, basically because it's just going to be too expensive still, probably.
Well,
not quite what.
I'm yet to see the shops where cannabis products available for people that have a prescription. I tweeted recently that I have a prescription, but I can't go and buy cannabis from anywhere. And you won't be able to buy green bud anyway, unless a doctor prescribes it. And if a doctor prescribes green bud, then where do you fill that prescription? It is difficult. I have a prescription, I can't fill it. So there are some issues, some problems, but I stress we have the first government in my time as a consumer, and I've been more than 30 years involved in consuming cannabis, and more than 20 years involved in the campaign to change the law, and we finally have a government that's willing to put it at least a step forward. We're grateful for that.
So you're pretty hopeful, aren't you?
I'm hopeful that if there's going to be any negative advertising, that the truth will come out. We've already seen the negative advertising from those prohibitionists, family something. I don't want to give them, I don't want to give them credibility by naming them, but you know who I mean. Where are they getting their funding from? Where do they get the funding to oppose? I mean, we don't have deep pockets. We can't go spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising around the country. So, if we have a level playing field and truth about cannabis is spoken honestly and clearly to the public, then we will have a change and the referendum will pass. But right now, as long as the only ones that are out there talking about it are the opponents who use basically a lot of nonsense that the opponents have used all around the world. And all the things they talk about that are going to be, terrible in the future haven't happened anywhere around the world. In fact, everywhere that's legalized cannabis for recreational purposes for adults, the uptake by young people has declined. So one of the lowest youth usage in the world is in the Netherlands. Amsterdam, with its coffee shops, started it. It ain't cool for young people, so that's not their thing. So a legal market actually will lead to a reduction in young people using. So,
yeah, I think you might be right. Okay, very good, Dr. And I hear you as Dr. Green, don't I? Sorry, when your name pops up on the screen. Dr. Green.
That is my name, D-A-K-T-A, Green. The police continue with these current trials and tribulations to refer to me by my old name, despite being constantly told that my legal name is Dr. Green. I can flash my birth certificate at you right now. My birth certificate, it says my name is Dr. Green. Many years ago when I was married, my wife signed the marriage certificate at the end of the ceremony, and she became Mrs. My Name. She was never called by a maiden name from that point on. and yet the police continue to refer to me by my old name. Despite many, many prosecutions as Dr. Green, they still refer to me. They came here with a warrant for my old name. It's nonsense. And it is actually one of those things that the police do to denigrate people. It's a well-known fact that, you know, by calling people by the wrong name, it puts you in your place type attitude. So I find that frustrating, but hey, I've been doing this for a long time, and if the worst thing is that I get called the wrong name, I really don't give a damn. The important thing here has always been change this damn law, because you, politicians, cannot justify continuing to lock us up. It is that simple, really. If you can justify any reason, a justifiable reason to lock me up, I'll shut up and go away. But there isn't one.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, Doctor. There's lots there for me. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. You'll make a half-hour program out of that, and you won't even repeat me twice.
I would.
Nice to talk with you, and I put you in my phone. If there's anything coming up that I need to talk to somebody and put it out there, I'll give you a call.
Great. I'd love that.
Thank
This is
you.
my round on the cannabis stuff, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you. I was supposed to be in court a couple of days ago, and that was delayed. I've taken over my own case. I'm now my own lawyer, but for some reason the court haven't even recognised that, and they're talking to lawyers instead of talking to me. So we've got a lot to sort out yet, but
yeah,
lockdown does some strange things to people, doesn't it?
It's a shame. It's a real shame that. Yeah, whenever you sit in on district court, it's just, you know, delay after delay. You know, lots of people coming up for their cases and something's missing, and they're like, oh, you're going to come back in 2 weeks. But that means another 2 weeks for that person.
I have to say, I have reasons for what I'm about to say, and this won't be for broadcast because it's not going to be that important, but I'm going to make a little prediction. I don't believe that my case will get to trial. And there could be a couple of reasons for that. I think I could do a deal with the Crown, you know, plead guilty for an agreed sentence, or we could just prove that actually that this is a case, you know, go to court and prove that this is something that should not be proceeding. And I'm looking seriously at that as an issue at the moment. There are a number of ways that we can stop this proceeding. And in light of what's happening around the world and in light of our upcoming referendum, you know, maybe it's just time for a judge to say, I'm going to chuck these charges out. Because who's talking about this in favour at the moment? You know, you're not old enough to remember the 1980s and the homosexual law reform debate. I remember that well. Nobody, as I recall, that was advocating for homosexual law reform was arrested for being homosexual. I don't recall prostitutes being arrested for advocating a change to the prostitution during that law reform debate. Why is it that the police think it's appropriate to continue chasing people in the cannabis culture? It's a nonsense. There's no fairness in that debate. It would be okay if the government was actually proceeding to deal with this themselves, but this becomes a public relations issue. And the public relations issue is, here we are trying to present a fair and reasoned and balanced approach why people should vote yes, and the police are continuing to call us criminal, 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 criminal. That's not fair. That's not responsible. That's not the way to go forward and get a yes vote from a referendum. So the government needs to look very seriously at the way that police are handling the cannabis question right now.
Okay, very good. I really better go now.
Thank you. I think that was the last one that I liked the best.
So, yeah.
Take care.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, on the way to get my meds this afternoon, I came up with a lyric for the Sands of Time song, so here's a full demo of the Sands of Time. It's for Rose, who's the mother of Joe, who's the lead character in my climate change musical. So Joe is the leader of the climate rebels. They're kind of like Extinction Rebellion if they took themselves really seriously. And the song takes place in Taupo, where the climate rebels have got a bus and they're about to continue their road trip up north, but Rose, who's an operative for the government, is there, and they think she's there to stop them. We're going with you, Sam, with us or not, Mum. I'm not here to stop you. Joe's intrigued. She gets out of the car. There's roadblocks overhead. Why are you telling me this? Let's just say I realised which side I should have been on the whole time. The sands of time are drifting sky, fragments of a life gone by. The lands of time keep drawing near. Hear me whisper in your ear. All our struggles feel meant to last until they drift into the past. The strands of time haunt eerie thoughts, pangs of guilt for what we've wrought. The hands of time are drawing near. Tear my mask off, face my fears. I tried to provide you the best love I could, but the climate was darker than I understood. The sands of time are drifting by, fragments of a lifeless sky.
Sondheim. Sorry to get back to you so late, but I've been moderately busy and just haven't had time, so forgive me. To begin with, your letter is terrifically articulate, and our tastes are obviously very similar, which makes me sympathetic to you. The only composer I would add to the list of your favorites and mine, it would be Rachmaninoff and also Benjamin Britten. But otherwise, I have no quarrels whatsoever. I had the same reaction the first time I heard the Shostakovich Fifth that you did, particularly when the lyrical theme in the first movement occurred. I practically fell on the floor. At any rate, I also thank you for your compliments. So, these responses will not be as full as you might wish, partly because of time, but mostly because the kind of detail that you're asking for takes, a good deal of examination and microscopic attention. But I can certainly answer generally your questions. First, I have to tell you that I just legally am not allowed to, have cautioned not to, look at any lyrics or listen to any music while I'm writing my own, particularly because I don't want to do any unconscious plagiarism, but also to avoid any problems in the future. So unless I solicit material, I have to just ignore it. So forgive me for that. You're very perceptive about my so-called cinematic numbers. They're a reflection of my love of movies, of course, like your love of movies. And I hadn't really realized until you articulated it how I really wrote those like movies, even when I was writing for the movie A Little Night Music. I didn't realize how much that really infiltrates my consciousness of the things I like to see on the stage, to prevent things from being just chock-a-block and chronologically orderly and all that. It's nice to be able to utilize cinematic techniques within the song itself. And of course it offers great possibilities for a director in the theater. The whole question about musical movies and if you could tell a story with song is a whole long other matter, and something that requires a discussion, not well, a point of view, which I have. It requires a discussion, and but my point of view, as you probably know from reading the books, is that the differences between movies and theater are vast, and because one is a poetic medium and one is a realistic medium. And though you may dislike voiceovers in movies for songs, the problem of the realism, and it doesn't matter whether it takes place in Graustark or not, but the realism of film, no matter how colored or something like that, plays against the idea that people should sing their emotions instead of speaking them. The absence of the fourth wall in the theater tells the audience right away they have a contract to suspend their disbelief, and everybody's going to be sort of facing out front, even though they're pretending to be talking to each other. And when they start to sing, it's supposed to be an extension of speech in some way or other. It's a much harder thing to accept on the screen, which is why all the musicals before the Rodgers and Hammerstein era, all the Astaire Rogers musicals, all those, you say, oh, they had such possibilities, and I'm so disappointed that they didn't take advantage of them. Well, they couldn't take advantage of them, particularly in the pre-Rodgers and Hammerstein era, when nobody even thought that movie musicals could tell stories through songs, except those like Hallelujah, I'm a Bum, and some of the Ruben Mamoulian movies, where there was an attempt to stylize a score to make it cinematic, but not in the same way that the intensity of the theater focuses on such things. So, bearing all of that in mind, and as I say, it's worth a discussion, use that as a springboard for everything I'm going to say about your ideas of doing music. I might as well start with Double Indemnity, a movie I know extremely well. First of all, I can't tell from your letter whether you've read the book. You should, if you haven't, because Kane's attitude and Wilder's attitude towards people and the world are really quite different. And all Wilder's characters in Double Indemnity, in Sons of Lord, wherever, are really the same. They all have the cynicism, and that's not a criticism because I'm a big Wilder fan, that's probably best expressed in Ace in the Hole, or The Big Carnival, whichever title you know it by. And that sourness, which is witty and funny and all that, is rather, I think it's sort of anti-musical. Now, it is your choice. You hear Walter Neff and Phyllis and all those people singing in your head, but boy, they seem to me very non-singing characters. I mention it not just as a matter of, well, you like red and I like blue. I think you're going to find that rhyming what they say is going to flatten out the flavor of their speech. The speech, particularly as reinterpreted by Raven Chandler, has a gum-chewing character that, when done in song, is likely to seem almost comic and unintentionally so. Now, again, haven't heard your songs, so I may be entirely wrong. See, in Sunset Boulevard, not a musical I think is any good, but they are singing characters in the sense that they are so operatic, over the top, flamboyant, and colorful. You mentioned, I think at some point in your letter, Cy Coleman's The Life. You know, that didn't work at all on the stage. What you call noir, you know, unless it's satirized, as in City of Angels, is, I think, very dangerous to deal with. I don't mean to be discouraging you from the first stage in your exercise, but perhaps, to skip along to other questions you have, perhaps what you should do indeed is film one or two of these songs that you've written if they have a sort of cinematic. In fact, I would do two things. I would do one song that you've written very much for the camera or for cutting, and do one song that you haven't, where you're stuck with somebody sitting in a chair or pouring a drink or leaning against a pillar and just plain singing. If you have everybody on the move all the time and every number has lots of cuts and change of angles in them, I think it's going to get not only tedious but annoying. So you're going to have to vary things. Now on the stage, again, the single presence of an actor or actress singing a song in a spotlight, or just alone on a stage, or just lighting a cigarette, can absolutely capture 2,000 people. On the screen, not so easy. Big numbers, yes. Cross-cutting, yes. But just somebody sitting there. Now, if it's Judy Garland on a hayrick singing Over the Rainbow, that's a different matter. But that's not what's going to happen with these cynical characters. Your analysis of what you're trying to do in the songs for Phyllis and Lola, and all about, you know, a simpler form and a more complex. I hope that the songs grew and then you analyze them. I hope that you didn't sit down and say, aha, I will make a simple form for Lola and I will make a complex form for Phyllis. That kind of intellectualization only works in retrospect. And so if you didn't write it out of your theatrical and dramatic and songwriting instinct, gotta say, if that was not the first thing, if the first thing was the thought, watch out. Try to let it come from whatever part of your head is not thinking like the analyst who looks at it when it's all over. Let me go on to your choice of jazz inflected for the score. I'd like to know why. What do these characters have to do with jazz? First of all, they're all sort of upper middle class people in sort of respected professions. I don't think anyone listens to music, as a matter of fact. Maybe they do. Now, perhaps you're updating this to today, in which case it's not jazz I think they'd be listening to. I think it's some other kind of pop music perhaps, but you know, these are 40-some-odd-year-old people, or they're in their 30s, and if it's back in the Billy Wilder time, it ain't jazz they're listening to. They're just not that, they don't have any racishness to them. This is all about the breaking of improprieties. If you really want to use jazz, then I would think the young people, Lola, might have a jazz feeling, but I wouldn't say that it's a jazz-inflected score in advance, or a noir score either. It's got to be about the emotionality, not about the atmosphere. Noir is very much, as you know, created by photography. So, a noir musical is not a noir film at all. They're just different. I hope I don't offend you, but what I read between the lines in your paragraph about the analysis of the stuff is that you just feel more confident writing jazz than you do writing what you call classical, and that therefore you're rationalizing a so-called jazz-inflected score. But I may be wrong. At any rate, if you have a reason, then you have a reason. As for your general questions, the first one is, if you really are intent on writing musicals for movies, then I absolutely would take a play, as say the third exercise, and adapt it into a movie musical, but start from the theater. And otherwise, no, just keep adapting movies. You said, number two, how much adapting with the script should I do? That, obviously, there's no answer to that. You do as much as you think is necessary to make it a musical movie, as opposed to a non-musical movie, or whatever. As far as orchestration goes, it's probably a good idea, if you can, to orchestrate them. I think it's much more important in that way than it is in the theater. The theater, all you want is an excellent orchestrator who has a dramatic sense. Of course, there are only two of them in this country, but nevertheless, if you know what you want in an orchestra, I'm not even sure that you should go to all the trouble and time and expense of that. Also, songs naked on a piano without the masks and disguises and frou-frou coloration of orchestration are standing there, you'll forgive me, naked, and their quality alone is what has to carry the scene, the mood, the singer, whatever. So as I speak, I think it probably is more useful for you not to orchestrate. As for your other commitments, I can't answer that. I didn't have any other commitments except college, which was for me a breeze and didn't take much time. But actually, I spent all the writing time for those exercise musicals were in the summer. That is to say, I took 3 months and worked on each one. I never worked on them in college. There was just too much distraction. It wasn't that I was too busy. It was just pleasuring myself. As for filming the numbers, as I said before, I think it's probably a good idea, since that's the medium you want to make effective. So do one that you wrote with every Baz Luhrmann cut you could think of, and then do one that is just a song. As for myself, I still write mostly at the piano. The older I get, the more I write away from it, but I rarely, if ever, write an accompaniment away from the piano. That comes from the fingers. I can sometimes hear it in my head, but I really have to go over to the piano and make it and see if the arpeggio I'm thinking of or the cluster chord I'm thinking of really is what I'm hearing on the piano. There are no plans for any more Sondheim sings. And remember, most of the things are not demos. The Sweeney Todd stuff was a party at Hal Prince's house. I mean, that's what he did for each score. You probably know from reading my book. So there aren't really any demos. But like you, I love hearing Harold Arlen and Hugh Martin do their stuff, and Cole Porter If you haven't heard those are also wonderful. And so, if you'd like, I will send you I'll dig it out and I'll send you the amateur recording of that Sweeney Todd evening, because I know somebody had an amateur recorder there, and I know I've got it someplace. But you'll have to tell me that and then remind me of your address. As for Evening Primrose, yeah, I did basic shots for the opening number, if you can find me here, and when. But, as you may or may not know, although I think I said it in the book, the entire thing was shot in one day. So, there are, of course I could have made When into a Baz Luhrmann, Richard Lester moment, but there was no time to do anything except maybe make a shot of each thing. I directed Tony Perkins at one point to do something. I thought, this is why I shouldn't be a director. I said, don't look directly at the camera. You've got to look around the store. So, of course, it looks like a man with a wandering eye. Nevertheless, I did do general shots, or rather breaking downs of the couplets or whatever, in both numbers. Since you have a correspondence going with Michael Starobin, just ask him to send you a PDF of the scores. I'm sure he'd be delighted to. Ladies and their sensitivities, I forgot that I never said anything about it. It's one of those numbers that you think of. You think, oh boy, wandering through London, and then at the same time, uh-oh, the judge is getting closer to the house, and there they are making love, and uh-oh, here comes the beadle and the judge, uh-oh, and then he gets to the door. I always thought of it that way on the stage, but Hal wouldn't stage it that way. So, there it is. He staged it very effectively in his own way, but he completely blew the so-called suspense, which might not have worked anyway. Okay, I think that covers everything. I will send this to you probably in a couple of days. This is April 5th. But I will be back in the city, but I'll mail it to you sometime next week. Good luck with the show and with, or good luck, I should say, with your exercises.